kasi during our indie days, when
Mhm,
we did our own recording, we made a lot of mistakes.
mhm.
Tapos na-realize namin, dapat pala naka-off yung aircon. Dapat pala naka-off yung electric fan. Ano ba yung pinaka-best manual setup na parang pinaka-basic na pwede namin i-set up
Mhm.
para dito sa mga ganitong klaseng session? Mga dos
The
and don'ts or ano man.
a basic DIY
Yeah.
yeah
Mm.
solution is if I can stream here, there you go. Would just be like this, wherein you could just
Ah,
record under a blanket and all. Yeah, recording under a blanket is because there it is. It's a very um simple thing, but it eliminates a lot of the background noise, a lot of the background hissing, humming, no, and so
mm.
yeah, blanket towel as anything that is thick fabric, anything that's fabric or anything that's thick that can surround your microphone.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unreal Community PHL. And this is the Unreal Meetups Talk series.
This event is sponsored by Artmiker Studios, your world from a different perspective, with collaboration with the La Salle University College of Computer Studies.
And this is your host, Michael Rivero.
And I'm your co-host, Jelly Ann Carillo.
Okay, so let's introduce first yung Unreal Community. So this is actually a global network of developers, designers, and artists who are currently using the Unreal Engine. So originally, that game platform is actually very popular in the gaming industry. Pero eventually, people are starting to use it in multiple products like visualizations, PRs, mga product designs, simulations, visual effects, and other forms of interactive content.
We have now our very own official Unreal community here in the Philippines, based in Quezon City, Metro Manila, with chapter in Cebu. Our goal is to build a strong, welcoming community for Filipinos and others worldwide, encouraging collaboration, innovation, and knowledge sharing among Unreal Engine users of all levels.
And this talk series is actually open to everyone. So if you're a professional, student, independent developers working on your startup business, basta may cool projects ka that you want to share to everyone, this is open regardless kung games man yan, animations, digital products, simulations, visualizations, or any out of this world innovative products that you use or you created using the Unreal Engine.
Ang speaker po natin for today is si Xavier Arevalo, a music producer, sound designer, and lecturer.
And I'm gonna pass now the mic to Xavier. He's a really cool guy with a solid background in sound design and also lecturer. So Xavier, can you share your screen right now?
All right, hello everyone. Okay, I'm going to start sharing. Hold on.
Yeah, visible na siya.
All right. All right. So, hi. So, this is Unreal sound design with FMOD Studios. So, let's get into it. So, hi, first and foremost, I'm Xavier Arevalo. You can just call me Xavier. So, about me, just a quick background. Mainly, I'm a music producer and sound designer, and I've been working as an independent contractor or freelancer since 2018, bouncing around working on music for indie artists, content creators, streamers, and the like. For video games or game development, I've worked on creating sound effects and soundtracks, and even voice work for indie game dev teams and studios. On top of that, I also have experience working in the Unreal engine, both on 4, Unreal 4 and Unreal 5. So softwares used for my sound design and music production work, it's my weapon of choice for digital audio workstations is FL Studio, and for implementing and integrating the sound assets into the engine, I use FMOD Studio. And on top of that, I've also been dabbling into actually just making my own solo projects in Unreal 5. It's a very powerful tool and a very cool piece of kit to mess around with. Yeah. So on top of that is there some things I'm related to, or rather attached to, is a part of Quality Level Entertainment. We are a small indie dev team, and some projects we've put out are Ringmaster, Grid Match, and Where Did My Thing Go. These are all on the Google Play Store. Yeah, these are mobile games, and yeah, there's that. So, and next one is Play Park. I'm attached to the Street Ballers project. I made soundtrack for this game at around like 10 tracks for this game, as well as their voice work. Yeah. For other things about me is that currently I teach part-time in iAcademy in Makati City. And I teach the game development course, sound design subjects, their audio design and sound engineering subjects, as well as some game design and even fundamentals into Unreal. On top of that is there, as I said, mentioned before, it's music production and sound design as an independent contractor and all. So let's get into what we're gonna be covering today now. So first, we're gonna go through a quick history and background of what sound design is. What are the techniques and processes that are present in working with sound design, creating assets for games now. And then we're gonna get into just quick overview of what FMOD Studio is. So games that use FMOD, how FMOD implements audio assets and all, and some very quick demo as well. So, all right, what is sound design? No? So, essentially, what sound design is, just the art and process of creating audio assets for film, TV, music, video games, any sort of media that requires and uses sound. So, sound design is just that process where you create the sound assets to match the visuals on screen. No? So, if let's say the game or the project at hand is in outer space with high tech suits and all, so you need to create the sound design to match the aesthetic. So you'd think of, you'd think about lasers, you'd think about really big boomy sounds. But then if let's say it's going to be like a medieval fantasy out in the fields or in the wild, no, something a little bit more traditional, grounded, a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more traditional in the sense of what instruments or sounds are present in that time period. So essentially, that's it with sound design. It's matching whatever visuals you have with the audio that you're gonna create. So there, audio assets or sound effects are created through these processes here. So we have recording audio, or what we call Foley. We have synthesizers, we have audio editing techniques and mixing techniques, no? So these are different processes that allow the sound designer to meet the project's audio needs and requirements. And of course, no, sound is the one thing that allows and helps the user or the player get really immersed into what they play. So, first things first is that for sound design, when we create the sound assets as themselves, no, these are in digital audio workstations or DAWs. So what these are essentially the software or the programs where the audio production work is done, no. So every step of the process, be it from recording or mixing or manipulating the sound, it's done here all the way out till it's rendered out, no. There. In case of Unreal, audio assets are created in DAW, then rendered out, and then imported and implemented in Engine. They're different digital audio workstations from left to right. At the bottom, we have FL Studio, Reaper, Pro Tools, and Logic, and Ableton. And so, just like the different programming languages, these DAWs have their own strengths, weaknesses, specializations, and advantages. Yeah. So another thing is that in sound design, one of like the basic fundamentals um but behind that is that we have something called Foley. Essentially, this is the reproduction of sounds for films, video games, and any media. So all the movies that you watch, or the series that you watch, all the sounds and sound effects that you hear are 100% just re-recorded in a sound stage or the studio. And so yeah, for video games, since the projects are all digital, no, you'd have to record the sound effects that you would need in the game. So if it's a fighting game, your booms, your punches, your hits, no, all of that. For a shooter game, all the explosions, all the gunshots and everything has to go through this process. Next, it's sound synthesis or synthesizers. Essentially, this is just the process of creating the sound effects by passing different waveforms and manipulating them using software or hardware or analog synths. Yeah. So all the, let's say, the synth retro sounds, or maybe yeah, spacey, vibey, open sounds. There are essentially done here with the use of synthesizers. All right, let's get into FMOD. So what FMOD Studio is that it's an industry standard piece of software where it essentially is what you call a middleware. It's what mediates between the sound assets and the game engine. So this is a tool that's focused for sound designers in the game development space. And this eliminates essentially the restrictive and hard coding barriers and processes of audio implementation. Essentially, you don't need in an engine. Traditionally, you would need to create a certain specific audio system or something to handle the calling and implementation of or your audio assets. But here, FMOD Studio does that job already, and it allows the sound designers to focus on creativity instead of um the anything restrictive or anything that gets in the way. No? So I have a quick demo here. Let me just share it. Hold on. All right, let me know if you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear the audio on the
Yeah,
video? All right.
yeah.
Okay. So, here's something I just cooked up in Unreal very quickly. Here we go. All right. So there's that. Let me just go back to my presentation. All right. So essentially, that was just a quick demo of something that you can do using FMOD Studio in Unreal. So essentially, what that is there dynamic audio. So footsteps reacting to the surface in the environment, and also different structures in the environment affecting the nature of the set of sound effects. No? So there. Here's some examples of a few, but there's still a lot more games now that use Fmod. So this is present all the way from indie all the way to like triple A. So we have games such as Ready or Not, the whole Crisis series, the current Deus Ex series, Crusader Kings, the as well as EA's racing games, so WRC and all, Shadow Warrior, the latest one, and then V Rising, and Sekiro, and I think as well the whole Soul series. No, so there's that. So a lot of big titles use Fmod for their audio implementation. So let's just do a quick breakdown of how all of this works now. So essentially is that, let's implement audio like quote unquote traditionally, right? So let's say we want to implement a footstep sound asset in Unreal. So essentially you have your asset file, so I can just call it footstep one, and then you import it into engine. So you drag and drop all your files into the engine, and then in Unreal you have to create like the just like creating blueprints or creating the Unreal specific assets. You have to create a sound cue that will hold, quote unquote, hold the footstep when it's called, and then so that's essentially a UE5 asset. And then after that, you call it into the blueprint. When you set it up, let's say for your character, your character's blueprint, or whatever blueprint that will hold the code that will call in the actual footstep. And then after that, it will only play when it's ready in game, output in game. So looking at this, if you break it down now, is that this process works for us small scale. If we have a small number of assets and all, I mean this is doable. But the thing is that this process would be repeated for each and single audio asset for the project. So if let's say we have several footsteps just like in the video we had earlier, or different variations of the same sound, no, it's gonna over time it's going to multiply, it's going to get a lot, it's going to files are going to really expand and bloat. So there, if an audio asset needs to be dynamic, separate renders usually are made. So example, I have footsteps 1 to 4, those are my variations. Then I would have to render out footsteps 1 to 4, let's say with reverb. Footsteps 1 to 4, a variation rendered out for indoor, another variation rendered out for outdoor, for different spaces. No, so essentially 4 assets, so footsteps 1, 2, 3, 4 times how many number, no, it's gonna get a lot. So this causes unnecessary bloat to the project. And there, any changes to the audio assets themselves have to be done in DAW, or in the digital audio workstation, or the software that you use for audio production. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of switching from software to software, importing, re-importing, and all. So what Fmod does is that it cuts out all of that. What it does is that all the sound design work, you don't have to do any guesswork anymore. It's not working in the DAW and thinking, oh, how it would sound like, and then re-import into engine. What this does is that Fmod is already directly linked into Unreal. And by doing that, the changes are done real time. So when I have my assets in Fmod, again, I'm not bringing assets into Fmod, into Unreal itself. Fmod does the handling of that. I can do the sound design work. I can do the dynamic behavior of the audio. I can make parameters. I can do the mixing. I can do all the alterations that I want. And it's all done with Fmod. So essentially here is I have one footstep file. What I said earlier, where I have to do re-renders of the same sound, or for the same sound asset. I don't need to do that. Fmod is the one who's going to dynamically change the properties of the sound as the project needs it. No? So there, Fmod linked to engine, and then blueprint. So you call it in whenever you need to, and then there, output in game. So you are not directly dragging and dropping massive amounts of assets into the engine. And so there, Fmod allows for the designer to apply dynamic audio behavior to the audio assets and link them to the engine. So this optimizes workflow, as the assets just need to be called in engine. They don't need to be imported and all. And variants of a single asset can be made through FMOD. I have a video later showing how the variants and work. And then it eliminates any unnecessary back and forth between the DAW and engine. No need to work, render out, import, and do the cycle again and again. And since it eliminates all of that, there it allows for less hassle in the workflow, and it allows the sound designer to focus on creativity and focus on actually getting the sound design the way they want to do it. All right, go on to the next demo. Hold on. Let me know if it's visible on screen. All right, hi. So right now I'm inside of Unreal. So this is just a quick breakdown of the prior or initial demo that you saw. So here I'm just gonna break down how we can do like the how I did the dynamic audio implementation with FMOD here in Unreal. So what I want to do first is I would want to show you guys FMOD. So currently this is FMOD open here on my end. So uh, just a quick breakdown again relating to earlier when it comes to the implementation is that we can have just like one audio asset and then it dynamically changes from based on the environment or how you want to manipulate it in engine. All right, so what I want to do now is just a quick run through of like how we can go up with the footsteps, so I can see it changes if it's from on different surfaces. So wood, grass, and concrete. All right, so I'd want to run through that a little bit. All right, so first what I'll show you is that how we call it in engine. All right, so I just cooked up a little bit of code here. So currently I'm in the animation blueprint of our character. So essentially what the animation blueprint again is just there the blueprint that handles how the animations behave, right? So I'll just look into how I implemented the footsteps. So how I did that is I went to the animation asset of our running or yeah, of our movement. So here it is. And so what I did was I put a you can create these things called notifies here in the timeline. So what the notify does is that you can add like a marker or whatever in the animation. But in our case, what I did was I just created a notification or notify whenever the foot lands. So if you want to do a footstep, so it'll be pack, tak, tak, tak. We want it to sound every time the foot lands. So of course it's gonna be synchronized. So first is boom, and I feel that there's contact already. I see there's contact made already with the ground. So I create an animation notify. So I just called it notif step. Then another one I pasted it here for every landing of the foot, no. And so once those notifies are done, I go into our blueprint and then I just call in the notify of our step. And what the code here essentially is that every time that the animation notify is called or every time we step, right? Okay, I just call on the asset of the audio. So without looking at this one, right? So essentially what it is I call the notification of the footstep, and then I target or check the surface that I'm on, all right? And based on the surface that at my foot, the character's feet are interacting with, it will set the kind of surface. So here in Unreal, you can check and put in the physical surface. And then what I did is that I just indicated what kind of physical surface for surfaces I have. I have wood, ground, and cement. So if I go here into the editor here, so I just have these tiles here. If you go on the right side and check it out here now, I have there physical material override, and then these are just my custom physical materials. I just called it there wood and all. So there's that. You can set that up on your end. Okay, so wood. So if I can just show it to you here in the window for the project settings, and then I'll call physical there. So engine physics, and then you just search for physical surface, and then you can just create your own physical surfaces there. So surface type one, 2, 3. So I just made wood, ground, and cement. So you can just put that there. Make sure to save when you're done, and then close that up, and it'll come out here. So any surface that you have or any object you can have, you just go onto under the collisions tab. There is a physical material override, and then you can change already what kind of uh, physical surface or surface type you guys have. So I have here on the wood, so it's set to wood, the ground set to ground, and then this one set to cement. Okay, so back into the uh, here in our blueprint. So essentially is that every time that I notify a step, okay, what I get is that I just go from this line trace by channel out hit, then I look for a break hit result, and then I get a physical material, and then that one is just going to be a link to a target to a surface type, and there I just call this one here. So switch on EP or E physical surface, and all the physical surfaces that I made earlier, which is the wood, ground, and cement, the custom ones are gonna come out here. All right, and then I'm just going to put here is like I'll just have a variable or a set for a surface type. It's just a float. So I just made it here now. So it's just a float for a set, and it's a surface type. So what here I just put in here a value. So surface type of 1, 2, and then 0. I'll go back to y. It's set that way. But anyway, every time that the character interacts with a surface type, it will look for uh, it will assign itself that surface type number, and then play the corresponding footstep dynamically. So what happens is that I have three different footstep sounds for wood, ground, and cement, but all I'm doing here is that I'm just calling one sound asset. I'm not calling a sound asset that's separate, let's say separate for wood, separate for wood like that, and separate for cement like how you would traditionally do it. So here in FMOD, that's the beauty of it. It's that there it is less bloat on the engine and all. So I'm just calling one asset here, and then it's gonna change its behavior dynamically based on the physical surface that we have. So there's that. And after this thing called here play event 2D. So once you set up FMOD here in Unreal, all it has its own like blueprint related instances here. So you can see if I hover over it, it says it returns an FMOD event instance. So if I just right click here and I look for a play event, so you can see under audio, FMOD has its own things here already that are there, part of the engine already once you install the FMOD plugin. So there's that. So I play the event, or in our case, event is essentially just the sound asset, and there, it plays it, okay? So I'll take you through why this is, and I'll just go hop onto FMOD. So this is FMOD. So as the asset I'm calling in is here on the upper left. It's called Footsteps 2. So what you can see here in Footsteps 2, so when I select it, I already have tracks for ground, wood, and cement. Now, how this works is that what's cool about it is that there's this thing in FMOD called the multi-instrument. It's essentially one thing, but if you can see here on on the the screen is like multiple lines. What those multiple lines are essentially are different variations of the footsteps that I've recorded. So here on ground, uh-huh, there on ground, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 footsteps playing. So I'm just going to play it one at a time, but you can see it'll fire off randomly. So you can see like every time that the footsteps is called, it will randomly already play the footstep files that you've loaded here onto the multi-instrument. So there, just from like that, like one asset is already calling different variations. So you're already eliminating having to like make certain timers or certain randomizers in engine. It's already done here in FMOD, okay? And then, so you might be wondering, why is there wood and cement? No, it's playing, but you can only hear the one from ground, or right. So what's relating it here, no, to the physical surface override or changing, all right, with the set here. There's this thing in FMOD called parameters or a parameter sheet. Okay, so what parameters are is that these are there essentially just special values you assign, and then based on wherever that parameter is, it's going to play a different sound, or it will make the sound act differently. All right, so I made a parameter here called surface type. If you can see up here, now there's surface type up here as well. So what this is that when the surface type value here in FMOD is put into 0, it's just going to be playing the ground sound. Okay, so when you're stepping on the ground or grass. Okay, but if the surface type here, I change it to 1, now it's playing the wood sound. And if I play it, if I put it to 2, now it's cement. So relating that back here into Unreal, what that is that I have a variable of surface type, okay? And that surface type that I'm setting here, whenever my character steps on a different surface, is essentially just calling or setting the type of surface type here in FMOD. So essentially, is that every time I step on something different or a different surface, the it dynamically sets already what surface type here in FMOD to play. To give a more audio focused way on how to do that, it's essentially, if anyone here is familiar with working with audio, is that this is just the automation clips for the volume. And so essentially when here in the timeline I'm on a certain number, so here on the timeline I'm now on number 1 on my surface type, the ground and cement volumes are now on 0, and the only things that are active in or can be heard are already the volume for the sounds of wood. And I bring it here all the way to the next part, so 2. So now wood and ground volumes are set to 0, and then cement is now active, and you can hear it. So there's that. Now, another thing that is cool about FMOD is that it is almost in real time. You can apply your adjustments and settings. So what I want to do is just to demonstrate to you how it can be done. Is that I'll set my surface type to the wood, so you can hear that. Now, what's cool about this one, all right, is that you can do a lot of the random work here, or if you wanna you really just make it very dynamic, no. You can just do it here in FMOD. You don't need to touch anything in the engine anymore. So what I'll do is here in wood, you can see your fader here, the volume. Here at the bottom, this is essentially all the effects you can put on. So I essentially just have um, the volume and then a reverb. So reverb is just there to make it sound like it's in a space. I can dynamically change how this works now. So, but what I want to do is I want to randomize the volume of our wood step. Okay. So what I want to do is here in wood, you can see the fader or the knob here for the volume. I'll just right click here, and then I'll just add modulation and then random. What this is, there's a knob here now for random. What this does is that if you can see when I turn up the knob here, there's an inner like value here on the main fader for the volume that comes out. What this does is that here within this range that's highlighted here on the lower left on the volume, is that's where the range of the randomness of the volume will be set. So I'll just play it without any randomness. You can see it's hitting here at max volume. But once I turn this randomness up a little bit, see that? Hear that? Now the volume is very random. It's random within this range for the loudness of the footsteps. But I don't want it to like be that random or that varied. Okay, that sounds a little good to me. Now what I want to do is let's make this a little bit experimental, right? So I have a reverb here. So again, so reverb essentially is putting a sound in a space and simulating how the sound reverberates through that space. So reverb, I'll put our wet level. So how much reverb? I'll just go from -12. I'll go all the way. So you hear that it's really, it's really boomy. It's really um like it's reverbing a lot. So if I'm happy with this, I'll just go here and up to file, and I'll just do build on all platforms or control F7. That's gonna build it, and then once you go here to um, Unreal, there you go, the pop up reloaded FMOD banks. It's already updated here in Unreal. So if I play, hear that? It's already applying our adjustments. So I mean, yeah, it's exaggerated. I'm here out in the open. It sounds like I'm inside a cave or a really cramped room or something, or inside an air vent or what. But yeah, there's that. I can exit out of the game. If I want to bring it back to normal, let's bring it back to our values here. 12. That should be good. So I'll just build it on all platforms. Go back into Unreal and play. There you go. So there's that. Alright, we're back here again. We're just another part of the dynamic audio. So earlier we checked out like what it sounds like from surface to surface. So now we're just gonna check out here in these tunnels. It's what we call snapshots. What these are is that it drastically changes the sound of whatever's going on based on the environment. So here outside, no, sounds like what you'd expect from being outdoors. But once you go here, just an indoor simulation. No, it drastically changes the sound, so it's very echoey, boomy. What you'd expect if you're in a tunnel, right? And when I get out, see, there's that. So what that is essentially, um, what that is that essentially, is I go to plus here to add, and then I go to audio. I'll just go to all classes, and then you will see something called audio volume. There you go, audio volume. All right, and here in the audio volume, so this essentially is just a there like a volume or a box that is, or an area that is triggered once the player overlaps or is inside of it. So what this is essentially is that once the player is inside this area that's highlighted, the audio is going to change drastically based on whatever you set on it. So here, once I have the audio volume selected, you can see on the details panel on the right side, it can look for what you call a reverb effect. Or okay, so what that reverb effect is, not really essentially just reverb, but you can just put any presets that you want in there for the audio um to abide by, or to be to to act differently, no, when you put it in. So in this case, I just made two different effects, or two different presets of snapshots, which is indoor and no foley, which are the things here in the tunnels. So if I hop onto FMOD now, I can just go into view, window, and then I'll go to the mixer window. So what the mixer window is, if anyone here is familiar with audio work or what or all, no, is that here the mixer is where you can get to working on leveling your mix, balancing out the sounds, know how loud the one thing is related to the other. So I'll just make this side by side. So here on my left is the regular event editor that we have. So for the footsteps, and then here on the right is the mixer. All right. So what this is that here you have the master bus for your mixer track, and I have different groups. What these mixer groups are is that these are the things that control different sounds. So I have one for ambience, that's external, one for internal, one for Foley, and then another one for music. I just didn't name it. But anyway, how it works is that here you can see there's a tab called snapshots. All right. So what snapshots are is that there I have the indoor and no Foley, which are the ones that are visible in um, FMOD. Is that these are just a preset of the mixer that acts differently. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just play the 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 sounds. So as you can see here for the Foley effects, it is actively playing here. See, it's reacting to the mixer. So what I'm gonna do is just I'm going to I'll just loop it so that you guys can hear it consistently. So here's that. I can bring down the volume, bring it up. All right, there's that. I can add more effects here if I want and all. Actually, I'll just add a little bit compression. All right, there's that. I think I'm happy with that. And so yeah, I can change the levels globally on any and all of the sound effects that I have here under this tab. Okay, so what I want to do is that under snapshots, you can create any kind of snapshot. But essentially, what a snapshot is that right now I'm selected on indoor, and then no Foley. As you can see that every time I select on these ones, the positioning of the mixers are different. Okay, and yeah, same thing is that different effects are now active here. So what I'm gonna do is that I just have this snapshot that I made. So I'm gonna play the footsteps again, and here in the mixer window, I'll press the play button. The play button here is different from here on the um, event editor. Here is that when I press play here, it's going to trigger the snapshot. Listen. There you go. So now it sounds like if you're inside an indoor setting. And when I play it, press stop. So back to normal. So yeah, there's that. So that's what essentially it is. It's the snapshots here are just like different presets for different scenarios that you can assign your essentially any sound effects and music to, or any audio to, so that instead of having it that you'd need to code or customize like how something sounds at a certain time in engine. It's all just done here in Fmod, and that's it. Like I didn't have to do any blueprinting whatsoever. It's just called here in Fmod already. So there, I just created an audio volume. Then I can just call in the indoor and or whatever snapshot I want, and then that's essentially it. So that's there. I'll go back inside. So snapshot for indoor. No, no. Here's a snapshot for no sound effects or muted. So it's actually there. It's actually gone. No more sound effects. But once I step out, we're back to normal. So yeah, there's that. All right. And so yeah, that is it on my end for my demo for Unreal. For inquiries or anything, these are my contacts and all. You may take it down and all if you guys want. And yeah, there is that. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna move forward dun sa Q&A. Pero I would like to take the privilege first to ask the first question. So Xavier, tanong ko lang kung ano ba yung backstory mo? How did you became a sound guy? So gusto namin
Mhm.
malaman yung origin story mo.
Me, my background, how I got into audio work in the first place is that I grew up with audio everywhere. Specifically in the music, I grew up on my parents' music, and I grew up also on the music that I like, and so there's that. And I like to tinker around with different sounds. Even in elementary, I was trying to make my own music already and all. And so when the time came, it was time for me to get to college. No, I thought I had three options. It's either go to film school because I love movies, I love film. Go to music school because their sound and audio is what I love, or I could go to game development for college because there I love video games. And I thought that, okay, I think the best route is to go with the video game route. The reason being is that video games are the combination of all three things I love. Film, there's cutscenes and all the cinematic work that you can do in video games. Audio, of course, sound design, creating an immersive soundscape for players, and of course, video games. So they're creating the interactions, the mechanics, and all that. So there. And ever since then, no, I took the time during my studies in college to actually get experience working in the audio field. So there, during my downtime, free time, or breaks in between semesters, no, I tried to I did my best to get some work, get some gigs, and there, it's been consistent ever since that. Yeah.
So what was your first um audio project? Ano yung gig na ginawa mo?
First, okay. The very first gig, I'll never forget this. It was I was in high school, and during the time, so that was like 2016, 2017. The trend in music back then was SoundCloud rap. So this is like rappers like Lil
Mm.
Pump, Lil Skies, those artists back then. And so there I was creating the music in that style, and I got hit up by friend of a friend who wanted to start a rap career, and he needed some beats, he needed some music, so I provided the stuff. And yeah, everything, I mean, I'll never forget that because it's the one that really triggered me to understand, like, okay, this can go somewhere, and two, I'm doing what I love and I'm getting paid to do it. Yeah.
So what triggered you to use Unreal and FMOD?
What triggered me to work with FMOD and Unreal was that there before I got to college, I tried experimenting with the available game engines, and there during the time, Unreal Engine 4 pa, so medyo old school. Unreal 4, I liked it because during that time, no, the games that I really liked playing were based in Unreal. And so I thought, I love these games. Why not I try to tinker and try to work with the thing that they're made on, or the engine that they're made on. And then, so yeah, there's that. And then I got into FMOD because there in college, I wanted to find a way wherein it's more on the creative side on audio, rather having to manually there do the cycle of rendering out, coding, implementing,
Mm.
importing. So there, I did my research, I found FMod, and I thought, like, okay, give it a shot. And so yeah, there I've been working with and getting into there different techniques and all with FMod and Unreal ever since. Yeah.
All right, cool. I guess meron pa tayong mga questions sa ating mga online citizens. Jillian, go ahead.
Yes. Ito questions from Types. Ano ang pinagkaiba ng FMOD Studio sa built-in audio tools ng Unreal Engine?
I guess I mentioned that earlier, is that there in Unreal, the audio tools that Unreal has, it gets the job done. But the thing is that there it's not as dynamic as Fmod, wherein you can do several things on one singular asset without having to duplicate or import several assets all in one time. Yeah. If let's say you are a developer in Unreal, you might be more attuned to working with the tools that Unreal has. But coming from my experience and my point of view as a sound designer, there I use FMOD because it is more dynamic, it's more powerful, it allows for more creativity, and yeah, it's a powerful tool that I have loved to use ever since. Yeah.
Ito next question po from Takita. Anong equipment po yung mga kailangan para makapagsimula sa sound design sa Unreal Engine?
Sound design in Unreal Engine. Okay, so what you would need is, well, first and foremost, if you're going to be working with Unreal Engine, you need to understand that you need to have at least a decent setup. So if you go to Unreal's site for the engine, there's a sheet of minimum requirements or recommended system specs you can follow for there for your setup, either PC or laptop, no? And yeah, once you get through that, if it's sound design work with for Unreal, well, I would say there, get familiarize yourself with the digital audio workstation or audio production software that you'd want to get into. So stated the examples earlier and all. And then yeah, I would suggest that familiarize yourself with Unreal. After you're done with that, try to integrate FMOD already with it. And if you're wondering, no, FMOD is free, so you don't need to pay anything for that if you're trying to just start or work or get familiar with the software. And yeah, there's that.
Nice. May additional question ako. We talk a lot about sound engineering, yung pang enhance ng sound effects. But I want to ask about recording.
Mm-hmm.
So, ano ba talaga yung best setup for recording, lalong-lalo na sa mga startups na very limited pa yung budget?
Okay. If it's for recording, I guess I would have to answer that I'd give three answers for that. If it's just recording just for, let's say, sound effects, like getting started, you can just start with your phone. The smartphones right now, their microphones are very powerful, they're very good, and they're at a decent quality that there you can just go around and record sound effects, and there start with that one with sound design now. Um Second, I think my second answer would be there. It would just be getting a decent a decent quote unquote starting setup. If you go onto if you go onto your Lazadas or your Shoppees or whatever site now for shopping, is that if you type in the search bar what do you call this, condenser mic setup or microphone setup, less than 1,000, there's already a starting set wherein it has the microphone itself, the sound card, the boom arm, sorry, the mic arm and all. And so yeah, that's a decent starting point, no? Now the last answer is, if you want to really take it seriously for sound design or audio work, is there, get the basics of an audio setup, which is, one, get the audio production software. Two, it's you get an audio interface, which is the box that mediates inputs and outputs from your speakers, your headphones and microphones. And then third would be a good pair of headphones, because yeah, sound design work is very sensitive and very detail oriented. So having a decent pair of headphones, not earphones, headphones, would allow you to actually get the details apart and actually hear the sound the way it's meant to be heard. Yeah.
Okay. May additional ako na tanong. Kasi during our indie days, when we did our own recording, we made a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos na-realize namin, dapat pala naka-off yung aircon. Dapat pala naka-off yung electric fan. Ano ba yung pinaka-best manual setup na parang pinaka-basic na pwede namin i-set up
Mm-hmm.
para dito sa mga ganitong klaseng session? Mga docent or ano man.
a basic DIY
Yeah.
yeah
Mm.
solution is if I can stream here, there you go. Would just be like this, wherein you could just
Ah.
record under a blanket and all. Yeah, recording under a blanket is because there it is. It's a very um simple thing, but it eliminates a lot of the background noise, a lot of the background hissing, humming, no, and so
Mm.
yeah, blanket towel as anything that is thick fabric, anything that's fabric or anything that's thick that can surround your microphone. An example is this image here. I don't if you can if I can open it now. What this is essentially yung thermal box of like the Grab Food or Food Panda or Lala Move.
Mm.
That's what it is, and there's foam inside. So as long as the microphone, whether it be the phone itself, a phone mic, or an actual microphone, is surrounded by something that can isolate and dampen the sound there. That's a good starting point already.
Ayos, ganda. May workaround pala.
Yes, yes, yes.
Go ahead, Jalan.
Okay. Ito pong from Bayani Lisa. Paano gamitin ang FMOD para mag-react ang sounds sa in-game actions?
Okay, so how to work with Fmod to make it sound through in-game actions. Well, I covered it in the video, but essentially is that in Fmod you create the events and events with the assets, and then once you're done with those, no, go into Unreal and just call it in whenever you need to in the engine. So as part like in the video demo earlier is that once you have Fmod integrated in Unreal. Fmod has its own functions integrated into the blueprinting system. So whenever you're working with the sequence of blueprints in Unreal, you can just call in the Fmod event, and there it's going to play the audio already.
Ito po, next question from Kaboy. Paano i-optimize ang sound files para mabawasan ang memory usage sa games?
Mm, okay, okay. Memory usage and then sound files. Well, first and foremost, I would say is picking the right sound format. For sound formats, you have MP3, Wave, OGG, and all. If you are going to be working with yung there audio sound files, no, the biggest one, the one that will consume the most space will be the Wave or .wav files. So I would recommend avoiding those because once you have several assets now, it's going to really bulk up and occupy a lot of space. So you can use and work with MP3 or OGG files. That's a good start because these are smaller files and more compressed, so they would not take up too much space. On the other hand, no, is that there if you want to optimize your files, it's there the way you render them out. You make sure you don't leave any dead air or dead space before and after the file. Edit it so in such a way that there when you render out the sound asset, it's only the asset itself or the sounds that you want to be heard in game are the ones are rendered out and all. Yeah.
May additional question ako para doon. Kasi
Yeah.
when we save the audio, hindi kami makapag-decide kung 66 hertz ba or 44,000 hertz. So,
Mm.
may mga selection na gano'n. Ano ba yung best settings para sa mga audio for games?
Well, unless you have a game that really is very sensitive on the type of audio it's trying to portray, such as a specific 432, 430 hertz kind of game, unless
Hmm.
it's very niche and very specific like that. Just the basic standard settings in the DAW. It when you render out audio through the digital audio workstation, the default settings out of that can already is already
Mhm.
workable, doable. Yeah.
Okay, sige. May additional question pala ako kasi you demonstrated yung footsteps kanina. So, one file lang yun, no? Tapos, si Fmod, it's trying to differentiate using one file. So, making it more
Yes.
optimized sa game. Ang tanong ko, what if yung footstep niya napunta doon sa some kind of blobby or parang lava na natapakan niya for some reason? Would FMOD still use the same file or
So
different
if like
file na yun?
if you step on like lava or a different like surface na
O
gano'n,
mga parang blob, something sticky, mga ganun.
liquid, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can use that because as I demonstrated earlier, no, yung parameters, essentially the parameters is a value assigned to a certain variation of the footsteps. So I have one footstep asset and under that are all the variations already. So I just call the variations based on the parameters. So I can go from so in example I have set to 0, 1, and 2. So that is grass, concrete, and wood.
Mm.
I can add as many as I want. So I can do grass, concrete, wood, water, walking on water, a puddle, lava, walking on sand. I can just add parameters as much as I want, and then I'll just adjust the physical surface there in Unreal so that the value matches. And once that is assigned in game on the surface that the character is walking on, there it's going to automatically change and adjust as it goes.
Can I also create one on my own? Kunyari, I step over in some kind of electric field na pang sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
and I have my own parang signature na style na hindi kasama sa preset. Can I do that also sa FMOD?
Yeah. That's the beauty of FMOD is that there I demoed it earlier is that there you can manipulate and edit the audio to your heart's content and what however you want to design it in the software, and it will perfectly carry over in engine. Yeah.
Mm. Pero we discuss about footsteps. Pero when it comes to voice, uh,
Voice.
ganun din, may ganong features din. They can alter the
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah. Any sound, anything, it can be altered and designed and however you want in Fmod. Yeah.
Okay. What if I have an NPC,
Mm-hmm.
tapos merong mga standard response? I only use one sound file. Siyempre, may iba-ibang response yon. Sabihin natin male yung voice over talent. And then I want to reuse that same dialogue or
Yeah.
script. Pero doon naman sa female version.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also do that?
Yeah. So if let's say you want like random varied responses from an
Mm.
NPC, they're just the same thing that I demoed earlier with with like let's say footsteps on grass. It can have it will play different random versions of the same sound. You can
Mm.
also do it with the audio wherein you have a multi-track and there's a set of options, and then you can base the random value of how whenever they will respond among which of the list of responses will be called and played in game. Yeah.
Mm. So ibig sabihin, even if my original audio file is a male, I
Mm-hmm.
can convert it into something very feminine.
Oh yeah. For audio
Ah,
manipulation like that, you can do that there in Fmod. Yeah, you can do it either in Fmod or you can do it in the software that you wanna work with.
awesome. Galing pala. Sige, go ahead, Jordan.
Question from Rico. Ano po yung mga best practices para mabalanse ang sound levels sa games?
Mm. Best practices to balance the sound levels in games. Well, if I think the best thing I can do for that kind of answer would be if hold on. What I'll do is I'm going to just play, let's say, gunshots. All right, can you guys hear it and see
Yeah.
it on the
Mm.
stream? Okay, so if I'm playing gunshots now, it's you can see here in the mixer, where the gunshots are actually hitting in the levels. What you don't want is if you're talking about levels, you don't want it to hit the red. We're in the green. Pwede pa if it's in the yellow. This is just me simplifying the terms, no? You don't want it to hit in the red because if I'll demonstrate it here. Loud volume warning na. All right. Uh, there you go. I'll bring it up all the way. See, if you guys can hear it, it becomes very distorted and very
Mm.
maxed out. So there, we want to avoid that because there it will be very jarring and very how would you say this? Very disorienting to the players and all because there you don't want to hit the red because that's essentially what we call peaking, and what means is that the audio or the sound is way too loud already, and it's not gonna sound good essentially. So there, when you're doing mixing, and this goes for the entire like there, if you're working with audio production, just avoid your sound speaking or going into the red. So there, you're in safe. Yeah.
Ito po last question from uh, Thomas PH. Ano ang mga main differences ng sound design sa film at sa games?
The main difference between sound design between film and games would be there. Uh Games sound design is very situational and dynamic. If we look at a film, let's say the film is 1 hour long, and at the 30-minute mark there is a fight scene. So whenever you watch through the movie, every time the movie is at the 30-minute mark, it's going to play the same exact fight scene with the same exact sounds and all. So for films, the sound design is already set and it's static. That's it. Whenever you play the movie at any point in the movie, it's going to be the same exact thing. But if it's for video games, it's 100% dynamic. If my character, I can choose where to go in the video game. I can bring my character to, let's say, the ocean, or I can go into the mountaintop. It's 100% dynamic. It is not set in stone. It's not static. The player has full control on how they would want to explore and go about the entire experience. So there, that's essentially the main difference. One is the video games are dynamic. All the sound effects can come together randomly at any point, while film it's all set in stone within the entire runtime. Yeah.
Okay. May tanong ako dun sa implementation ng audio. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if this will be done by FMOD or directly from Unreal. Paano kung may distance yung audio? Halimbawa, may sumisigaw na malayo,
Mm-hmm.
tapos palapit ka ng palapit,
Mm-hmm.
mas nagiging distinct yung sound. So, sino yung mag-handle? Si FMOD ba or si Unreal?
I would say it's both a mix of FMOD and Unreal. Reason being is that here in FMOD you set up the sound the your assets and the sound effects,
Mhm.
and so what that works is that is you optimize it, you give it the mixing and levels that you want, and then in Unreal, since if we're talking about a 3D game, no, you can attach the output of the audio to the character or to the source of the sound. So let's say an NPC that's at a distance,
Mm.
and there the sound emitting from the NPC will adjust based on the distance in the distance between you the player and then the NPC. Yeah.
Alright. So, nabanggit mo kanina yung FMOD, free siya, no?
Yes.
Oh, so, very friendly sa mga independent startup
Mm-hmm.
developers. Pero once you have monetized this, um, what would be the arrangement for this?
It's quite similar to how game engines work, wherein there in the case of Unreal, Unreal is free, but then once you have an actual team and you're earning through your projects, once you cross a certain threshold, you'll have to pay a certain amount back to the developer. So
Mm.
it's the same thing in the same case with FMOD. But the cool thing about FMOD is that once you pay, you have access to more features and more how do you say this, more things that they have, or things and plugins and all other things you can tweak around and work with in FMOD. Essentially is FMOD, you have the base version, then once you start paying, both either if you want to subscribe or if you want to, or if you're actually the team and you cross the certain threshold that you're making, there it's you can have access to more once you pay. But yeah, there's that.
Alright. That's good. That's good to know. Jelian?
No more questions, sir.
All right. So thank you, Xavier Arevalo, for that
Thank you as well.
beautiful presentation and demo. So special thanks kay Dr. Ethel Chua, Joy Ong, and kay Dr. Rafael Cabredo. And of course, for our fellow Unreal PHL lead, Neil Patrick Del Gallego.
Maraming salamat rin sa mga sponsors po natin, Artmiker Studios at sa De La Salle University College of Computer Studies.
Okay, so reminder lang, if you have any cool projects in there, regardless kung student ka, independent developers, or professional, if you have something cool to share using Unreal projects or Unreal Engine, we invite you to become one of our guest speakers. So just email us at community@unreal.ph.
Pwede niyo rin po kaming i-follow sa aming mga social media accounts. Ayan po yung Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, yung Twitter, Discord, lahat po yun Unreal PHL. And you can also join our online community. Yung QR code po ay yung nilid sa screen. Sa lahat po ng nanonood ngayong live and sa pre-recorded po.
This is your host, Michael Rivero.
And I'm your co-host, Jelly Ann Karim.
All right. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.